Hello, hello. I'm on my home internet now. We'll see how this works. I've always been afraid to use it because it's so bad, but Verizon wasn't doing any better. Does this look a little bit better? I said I went to my home internet versus my Verizon, which, as I said, that doesn't usually work, but maybe we'll get lucky. I want to just, before we get lost again, walk you through this next step so that when I do things behind the scenes and you guys don't see it, you'll know what I did. So for this one, you put your tail ends on like this. They've cut them wide so that you can make the point. So after all of your blocks are sewn together, 4 long, these measure, I think they're 10 inches. Yes, these are 10-inch unfinished squares, so they'll be 9.5 inches when sewn in. So then you put these 2 pieces on, and then they have narrow strips that you sew down each side like this. Yes, hold your fingers, we never know. So that's what the plan is going to be, is to do the 4 squares, to sew the 2 tail ends, and then these will sew all the way down, and then all the way down. So if we get lost again today, this will be my last try. We're going to try to finish up this square. I will do all of this so that when we come back next week, we can see how to, we're going to quilt it and figure out how to cut that point and all of that good stuff. So let me clean this up. Finish off that square. I mean, when you're working with technology, you're really at the mercy of whatever. So I made my square. Again, I'll reorientate myself, put the matching green one on. Thank you, Sue. I think they did a really good job choosing the colors. The hue, tone, depth, whatever. The reds are kind of dark and the greens are kind of dark, so they go together. But they're still in varying shades of it, like. So it's you have some darker, some medium, and some light. And then on this side, they went with the medium, the dark, and the light. So it kind of mixes it up a little bit, but it still does. It's good. It looks pleasing to the eye, in my opinion. I think everyone else gave up on me. That was a tough one. I don't blame anyone for leaving. It was, no one wants to watch a choppy video. It's really hard if you have to listen to the person being choppy in their voice and then not being able to see anything. That's just too annoying. So hopefully for the replay people, they've made it all the way through. Otherwise, I don't know, if it doesn't look very good and this doesn't work, I might just delete all of them. Go. So if you're doing these assembly line, I really think that's the way to do it, unless you only need 1 block. I think doing this assembly line is great because you can really crank out these larger squares in no time flat. I'm really not sure why they're doing 2-inch strips instead of 2.5. I mean, for years now, 2.5 is like the normal go-to jelly roll thing. Maybe it was just they wanted it to be a certain width and that's what they needed to get to that point. I don't know. But I've been noticing that a lot lately in some of the projects. The numbers that they're requiring me to do, you know, cutting strips at like 1 3/4 or 2 3/4 or 2 inches, it's like that just doesn't. Most things you don't do, they don't tell you, unless you're doing charm squares and stuff, they don't say cut something at 2 inches or 4 inches, there's always that extra half inch for your seam allowance. So most blocks aren't finishing at 9.5 inches. See, nice pretty gold. So the gold goes through all of the fabrics, each and every one. Spin it around so I know where I'm at. I've got the 2 seams, so I know I'm there. I'm back to the red side. I really had the hardest time when I first started making these is trying to figure out how to do the 2 colored ones, and I think it was just because I got mixed up as I was sewing them all the way around. So for today, if we make it, we'll just go ahead and finish up this block. We'll call it a day. I'll get those sides put on, the borders, and we'll be ready. We just have to decide what type of quilting we want to do. Do we want to free motion meander, or do we want to do some type of straight line? Or I don't do stitch in the ditch or anything like that very well. I was thinking a little free motion quilting. Hi, Dora. I forgot to get a piece of fabric. And even though I can see where this is going to go, I'm still not trusting myself. I want to make sure I turn it to orientate it properly and get this on here. Doing the 1 block at a time has been pretty fine. I haven't confused myself. I think it's when you do multiple of them, it's easy, especially if you're doing scrappy and the colors are all different, the fabrics are all different. But it's a really great scrap buster. And if you don't really care, you can alter your strips. So you could put a row, you can have a row where you put, it's good if you put the same number, same width of strip all the way around, unless you want totally crazy wonky. But you could easily do 2.5 inch strips, then you can do a 1.5 inch strip, and you can do a 3 inch strip, just as long as you do all the way around in the same width. I like to do that when I'm doing wonky ones. I change up my widths like that. And it's helpful to have the various width strips in your scrap bins so that if you are doing something like that and you want to make sure, if you're always building it up to a certain bit and you put your ruler down, and as you're working on it, you're like, okay, so right now this is 8 3/4, but down this way it's 7 3/8 or something like that. So I know maybe I want to put a wider strip to build it out on this one and get it going that way. So that works out great for the wonky. Then you can vary your widths if you want. But I think it's going to be a really pretty runner. You go ahead, pop some candles on it, or those little, some type of a basket, like a metal wire basket with those, they have those, the balls that are made from like the really fine pieces of the little branches and that they twine and they intertwine them and all that. If you know, if you guys can figure out what my brain is trying to think of, you know what I'm talking about. My seam is not pressed properly. So I told you all I've been having one of those kind of days, or a few days, where everything is just kind of crazy. So I'm lined up there. I've got my 2 seams, and I know because I only have 2 strips of fabric left that I'm just about at the end. So I put this one on. Again, making sure I'm lining it up right along the edge, that I'm staying within the borders so that I don't have any wiggle room at all. I did have to take one seam off on one of the blocks just to get it fixed. Hello, Deborah. We are. Now I find when I get to the end here, I have to be a little bit more careful when I'm pressing because my strip is so much longer that if I get a little crazy, I might stretch it out in some weird angles or something. So I try to be more careful what I'm doing. I'm really trying to stay in the moment more when I'm crafting instead of having 6 things going on in my head at the same time, have all that extra chatter or YouTube video and a movie. Try to keep my brain focused right to here. This fabric's really pretty. So now I am this way, and my last strip goes here. So I'm so glad you guys came and tried to stick around with me, and for the 16 of you that actually made it all the way to part 3. Crazy, I know, I appreciate it. I don't feel bad or anything. I feel bad that you're not getting a good quality video, but you all know how it is. It's just crazy internet. Can't always be helped. Now it doesn't want to line up nicely. I know, I think we were talking about the borders when we do the wide borders. Yeah, I don't measure top, bottom, and middle and average it out for my borders. I've never had a problem, knock on wood, with my borders being wavy or pucker or anything. I just cut them wider than they need to be and then trim them down. Wider and longer. No quilt police when I first started quilting. I just taught myself everything and just tried to figure it out as I went. I watched some things on TV. This was back in like 2000. Oh no, Jackie. Sometimes when my internet just gets so bad, I just have to switch to DVDs. It's just not worth it. It's really frustrating when you try to do that. It's like you really want to watch this show, but you can't because it's crazy. Yeah, see, I don't know. I just get lucky, Sue. It works out for me. Whatever process I'm doing works for me, and I don't have to worry about that. I would never force it upon someone else, and I would never teach that to like, major class. I showed you guys how I trim my blocks and how I do my borders. I did a little video as part of a series for that, but I don't know. My way it just works for me. It just works the way my brain works and everything like that. If it's longer than the quilt, then I know I'm fine with the length. And if I make it wider, and I can see I don't have this line right here. When I line it up, this line right here is always straight. So this part, I know I'm gonna, if I line it up with here and trim it, that when I trim it down, I'm gonna get 5 inches. So if I trim off a 1/2 inch here and 3/4 of an inch there and an inch there, what I trim off doesn't matter. This piece right here is nice and straight. It's all 5 inches all the way down. It's lined up against there. I don't know, it just works for me. But there we go. That is the last one. I talked to someone else that had this, and someone left a comment that they had this kit, and that hold on, I'll get it. They put theirs in a 4-patch. Let me see how I want to do this. Guess you could do it any way you want. Put all the greens together. Well, it looks so different I know I don't have it right. It looks so different in the camera when I look on my laptop than when I'm looking at the table here. So you could do it like this and make one of those ones that kind of look like a circle. I really like that. This would be fine as a wall hanging for me, just like that. Or the red. Oh, I like that. But I'm going to follow it, and I'm going to put it together just like this. But I don't want to pester anyone for any more, and I know you guys have suffered through the internet enough. We made it through an hour. We got the squares done. I'm going to take the time to make sure that I have everything lined up just right, and I'm going to sew them together. Bottom corner, top corner, and then the green. So I'm going to put them together like this, just like, now the way I'm seeing it on my laptop, these colors are darker than they are, face to face. Thank you. I really like the way it is too. I like the table topper versus the table runner, but I said I want to make the runner just like it is on there. Thank you so much, Bootsy. Your name is Roy. Did I get it right? Like I said, I'm terrible with names. But Roy has, if I got it right, and I'm not going to say the wrong name over and over again, but he has a great channel that you all should go ahead and check out and watch too. Thank you for joining us. We have just gone through part 3 because the internet just keeps messing up. You're catching us at the end. So as I said, I'm going to just stitch these all together like this and make sure everyone looks good. I think, nope, that's wrong. Like this. So this is why I want to definitely do this part a double, triple, and quadruple check before I sew this together. Excellent, excellent. I remembered. I was thinking about you the other day. I'm like, okay, coming up to a live, I'm going to have to remember that Bootsy is Roy. That is my one accomplishment for the week. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and making it all the way to the end. As I said, I'm going to go ahead and get this all stitched together. I will hold off on doing any of the trimming until we have good internet and everybody is together. I think I'm going to do free motion quilting, but if you have any ideas, you can go ahead and leave a comment. Hold it until we'll go live again on the 17th, and we'll go ahead and do the best to get this finished up. I'll have everything all set up and ready to go so we can just do some quick quilting. And then, yeah, then it'll be Christmas almost. So thanks for hanging out with me and putting up with everything, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, come back at 7 o'clock, and you'll see, what is today, the 3rd? Day 3 on the Advent calendar. I've been having a lot of fun putting those videos up. I hope you guys have been enjoying them. It's a super fast project. Considering all of these blocks were made today, and I did other things in the morning. I ran to the pharmacy, I had lunch, and I was sitting here for an hour doing something else while waiting for the live stream. It is a super fast project. I think it'd be really great for a quick last minute one. You can make a bunch of these with different fabrics and have them on hand in your gift cabinet so that you're all set and ready to go when you have just a fun gift. Put them on your table, change them out for all the seasons. I think it's a great one. So enjoy the Advent opening tonight, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.